The first time I saw Jeff the Killer, he wasn't under my bed. He was smiling at me from outside my second-floor window. Part 1. The night the legend became personal. If you grow up in a small American town, you learn pretty early that boredom is dangerous. Not dangerous in the big dramatic way adults talk about on the news, more like the slow kind. The kind that makes teenagers do stupid things because every street looks the same, every Friday night ends at the same gas station, and everybody's always trying to feel like something bigger is about to happen. That was Wexler, Ohio, football fields, chain restaurants, Halloween decorations going up too early in front yards. Pickup trucks in school parking lots, the same 5 cops making the same loops around town like they were guarding the edge of the world. I was 17, a senior at Wexler North High, and if you'd asked anybody who knew me, they probably would have told you I was normal. Maybe too normal. I played JV basketball, got decent grades without trying too hard, worked Saturdays at my uncle's hardware store, and spent way too much time online when I should have been sleeping. The only thing even slightly interesting about me was a tiny YouTube channel I ran with my best friend Eli. We made urban legend videos. Nothing huge. Nothing serious, just cheap thumbnails, creepy titles, flashlight faces, and us driving around town acting like every abandoned shed in Ohio was cursed. Sometimes, a video would hit 10,000 views and we'd talk like we were about to change our lives. Then the next one would get 600, and we'd go back to eating fries in Eli's car behind a Taco Bell, pretending we weren't disappointed. It was dumb. It was fun, it should have stayed that way. That Friday started like every other one. I got home from school around 4:30, dropped my backpack by the stairs, and heard my mom yelling from the kitchen that if I left my shoes in the hallway one more time she was throwing them in the trash. My dad was out back trying to fix the patio light before the weather turned. My little cousin Tyler was staying with us for the weekend because my aunt was working a double shift in Columbus. Tyler was 14 and in that stage where he thought everything scary on the internet was automatically real. He was on the living room floor with his phone in his face when I walked in. "You know Jeff the Killer's based on a real case, right?" he said without looking up. I laughed, grabbed a soda from the fridge and said, "No, Tyler, I know for a fact Jeff the Killer is based on 12-year-olds who don't get enough sunlight." He sat up, offended. "I'm serious. There are missing people connected to it." "Yeah," I said. "And Bigfoot probably drives DoorDash now." Tyler frowned. "You joke now, but wait till you see the posts." I should have ignored him. Instead I said the sentence I wish I could take back for the rest of my life. "Send them to me." An hour later, Eli pulled into the driveway in his silver Subaru, music too loud, bass rattling like the whole thing was held together by hope and duct tape. Maya was in the passenger seat already, wearing her school hoodie and holding an iced coffee even though the weather had dropped below 50. Eli leaned across the center console and shouted out the window, "You ready to chase internet ghosts, Spielberg?" I grabbed my camera bag and headed out. Tyler followed me onto the porch. "Can I come?" "No." "Why not?" "Because the last time you came, you screamed at a raccoon and almost broke Eli's tripod." "That raccoon was aggressive. It was eating a granola bar." Tyler lowered his voice. "At least check the links I sent you." I rolled my eyes. "We're filming a dumb legend video, not opening a portal." He stared at me a second too long before saying, "Sometimes that's the same thing." I laughed and walked to the car. By 7:15 we were parked behind the old Merrow Creek summer camp, a place outside town that had shut down years earlier after a kitchen fire and never reopened. Nobody really knew why it had stayed abandoned that long: taxes, lawsuits, county nonsense. In a town like Wexler, places didn't disappear, they just sat there rotting until people forgot the real story and replaced it with a better one. Perfect for our channel. The plan was simple: film an intro, walk through the cabins, tell the Jeff the Killer story like it was tied to the woods, add some creepy B-roll, cut in fake suspense music, upload Saturday night, easy. At first, it was exactly that. Eli did the opening shot with a flashlight under his face. "Tonight," he said in his fake documentary voice, "we're investigating one of the internet's most infamous legends, Jeff the Killer, and whether stories tied to him may have roots right here in central Ohio." Maya rolled her eyes behind the camera. I stepped in for my line. Most people know the name, pale face, carved smile, black hair, shows up at night. But what a lot of people don't know is that online reports over the years have linked similar sightings to rural roads, abandoned properties, and missing teen cases all over the Midwest. That sounded almost professional, Eli said. I contain multitudes. We laughed. That's important to remember, we laughed a lot in the beginning. The camp looked exactly how abandoned American places are supposed to look: graffiti on wood walls, cracked windows, warning signs nobody obeyed, weeds growing through the basketball court, and one old mess hall building that leaned just enough to make you feel it might collapse if you breathed near it. We filmed everything: cabins, the creek bed, a busted swing, an empty counselor board with half the name still visible under mildew. Then Maya found something weird. It was inside cabin 3, taped crookedly to the wall near a bunk frame. At first I thought it was just water-damaged paper. Then Eli shined the flashlight straight on it. It was a printed photo, a blurry one. 3 teenagers standing in front of the camp entrance at night. And behind them, half hidden between 2 trees, was a pale oval shape that looked disturbingly like a face. Maya lowered the camera. Okay, that's actually creepy. Eli took the photo down carefully. Probably fake. Why would someone fake this and tape it inside a cabin no one uses? Maya asked. For exactly this reaction, I said, though I didn't sound convinced. On the back of the photo, written in faded black marker, were 4 words. He doesn't knock, he watches. None of us talked for a few seconds. The woods had gone weirdly quiet. No crickets. No distant traffic. No wind. Just the kind of silence that makes you suddenly aware of your own breathing. Eli forced a laugh. Great. Fantastic. That's going in the video. We should have left then. Instead, we kept filming. At around 9:30, while Eli was setting up a shot near the mess hall, I checked my phone and saw Tyler had sent more links. Forum posts. Reddit screenshots. A local missing person flyer from 2 counties over. A grainy screenshot from some short-form video platform showing a figure standing at the edge of a driveway at night. Every post had one thing in common. People arguing about whether it was connected to Jeff. Not Jeff the killer as a meme, Jeff as if he were local, real, moving, watching. I was reading one of the posts when Maya suddenly whispered, "Noah." I looked up. She was staring past me toward the tree line. What? Tell me that's Eli. I turned. About 40 yards past the mess hall, between 2 dark pines, someone was standing still. Too still. Tall, thin, head slightly tilted. My stomach dropped. Eli? I called. Behind me, Eli answered, yeah. The figure in the trees was not Eli. My whole body locked. Maya lifted the camera instinctively. The figure stepped back once into the darkness, then vanished. We ran toward the trees like idiots because that's what people do in horror stories before they know they're in one. Nothing was there. No footsteps. No movement. No prankster. Just woods and dark and the smell of wet leaves. Eli said it was probably some homeless guy or another group messing with us. Maya said she wanted to leave. I agreed. The drive back to town was quieter than usual. Maya kept checking the back window. Eli kept saying we'd caught something great for the video. I stared at the photo from the cabin in my lap the whole way home. When I got back, the house was mostly dark. My parents were asleep. Tyler was passed out on the couch with the TV still on low volume. I carried my camera upstairs, shut my bedroom door, and sat on the edge of my bed replaying the footage. At first it all looked normal. Then I hit the section from the mess hall. The shot shook when Maya whispered my name, the flashlight swung, trees blurred past. For 2 frames, maybe 3, there was a face on screen. Pale. Smooth. Eyes too dark to read. And a smile stretched wider than looked natural. I froze the frame. My chest tightened. That was when I noticed the reflection. Not in the footage. In my bedroom window. Something pale in the glass behind me. I turned so fast my chair slammed over. Outside my second-floor window, standing on the sloped roof above the garage where no person should have been able to stand, was a face in the dark. White skin, black around the eyes. A grin that looked less human the longer I stared at it. I stumbled backward so hard I hit my dresser. Then lightning flashed somewhere far away and the roof was empty. Nothing there. No footsteps. No sound. Just my own breathing in the dark. I didn't sleep that night. And in the morning, when I checked the shingles outside my window from the backyard, I found muddy prints leading up the garage siding, but none leading down.
Part 2. The smile in the dark. I told myself there had to be an explanation. That was the only way to function. A prank, a stalker, some older kid from school trying to scare us because of the channel. Even the footprints didn't prove anything except that somebody had climbed where they shouldn't have. Still, I didn't tell my parents. That sounds stupid now, but if you've ever been 17, you understand exactly why. Because the second adults hear words like face in the window and someone on the roof, the story stops being yours. It becomes therapy appointments, police reports, lectures about internet safety, and your mom taking the lock off your bedroom door because she read one parenting article at 1 a.m. So, instead, I texted Eli. I saw someone outside my window last night. He responded in 15 seconds. Actual someone? Or can't paranoia someone? Actual. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Come to Bean Yard. 20 minutes. Bean Yard was the coffee place near downtown where every high school kid in Wexler pretended to study. By the time I got there, Eli was already in a booth, laptop open, looking more serious than I'd seen him in months. Maya sat across from him with her arms folded. Before I even sat down, she said, "Tell me exactly what you saw." So I did. The roof, the face, the smile. Neither of them laughed. Eli turned the laptop toward me. I went through all the footage this morning. He clicked play. There were more anomalies than I'd noticed the night before. A reflection in a cabin window that didn't match where we were standing. A frame where someone appeared behind me near the creek. A moment near the mess hall where the audio cut out completely and a faint shape seemed visible in the doorway. Maya rubbed her temples. I hate this. I really hate this. Eli looked at me. You didn't imagine it. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. It made it real. We agreed not to upload anything yet. Eli wanted to edit the footage more. Maya wanted us to delete everything. I said we should wait one day and see if anything else happened. That afternoon at school, I started noticing things I wish I could unsee. Not dramatic things, small things. The kind that let your brain argue with itself. I was walking past the trophy cases outside the gym when I caught sight of someone standing behind me in the reflection. White face, dark eyes, smile. I spun around. Nobody. When I looked back at the glass, it was gone. During lunch, I saw what looked like the same pale face at the far end of the cafeteria through a crowd of moving students. By the time I stood up, all I could see was the vending machines and a janitor mopping near the wall. In 6th period government, my phone buzzed under the desk. A message from an unknown number. You look more afraid in daylight. My hands went cold. I stared at the screen so long my teacher called on me and I had no idea what chapter we were even on. I didn't answer the text. A minute later, another one came in. Don't fall asleep tonight. I showed Eli after school. He asked if I wanted to call the cops. I almost said yes. Then Tyler called me. Not texted, called. When I picked up, he was whispering. Noah, why are you whispering? I'm at home. So. I think someone's here. Every part of me locked up again. What do you mean someone's there? I heard the back door. Are you alone? Your mom left for the store. Your dad's not back yet. I grabbed Eli's keys off the table before he could react. We're on our way. Lock yourself in the bathroom. We made it from school to my house in under 6 minutes. Fastest drive of Eli's life. We pulled into the driveway hard. Front door closed. No broken glass. No obvious sign of anything wrong. I ran inside, anyway. Tyler. No answer. I took the stairs 2 at a time. Eli behind me. The bathroom door upstairs was shut. I knocked. Tyler, it's me. No response. I shoved the door open. He was inside, sitting on the floor, phone clutched in one hand.
Pale as paper. What happened? He looked up slowly. I saw him. Everything in the room seemed to narrow. Who? Tyler swallowed.
Jeff. Eli exhaled hard through his nose. Okay, Tyler, listen to me, no. Tyler stood up so fast he nearly dropped his phone. I'm serious. He was in the hallway mirror. I looked up and he was standing behind me, and then when I turned around there was nobody there. I wanted to dismiss it. I really did. But Tyler didn't look like he was making anything up. He looked like a kid trying not to cry because he thought crying would make people take him less seriously. That night my parents finally noticed something was wrong. I barely touched dinner. Tyler wouldn't leave the kitchen unless someone went with him. I kept checking the windows every few minutes without realizing I was doing it. My mom said, "Noah, what is going on with you?" "Nothing, don't do that. You look exhausted." "I'm fine." My dad looked up from his plate. "You're not fine." For a second, I almost told them everything, then Tyler kicked my shin under the table and gave me a look that said, "Don't." So I said, "School stress, basketball stuff, not sleeping great." The usual lies. At 10:30, Eli sent me a file, enhanced stills. I opened them in bed. Frame by frame, he brightened the footage from camp. There was no question anymore, something had been there with us. Sometimes in the background. Sometimes closer than we realized. In one still, a pale face peered through the cracked door of a cabin while I was speaking directly to camera, no more than 15 feet away. In another, just behind Maya's shoulder, a figure stood among the trees with its head tilted and its smile lit by our flashlight beam. Then came the last image. A freeze frame from right before we got back in Eli's car. All three of us were in shot. And in the back seat, visible through the rear windshield for one impossible frame, sat a white-faced figure leaning forward between the headrests, smiling. I dropped my phone, actually dropped it. It hit the blanket and slid to the floor. I was still staring at the darkness under my bed when I heard it, a soft tap, not on the bedroom door, not on the wall, on the window. One tap, then another, then a third, slow, patient. Like someone testing glass. I forced myself to look. The curtains were open a crack. Outside, beyond the reflection of my own room, a face was waiting. Smiling. And this time it lifted one pale hand and tapped once more.
Part 3. The story behind the story. The next few days changed the entire shape of my life. Once fear gets inside your routine, nothing stays normal. You still go to school, you still answer questions. You still hear your alarm and put on jeans and walk into rooms full of people. But everything feels thin after that, like the real world is only pretending to be solid. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom. The second night after the tapping, I dragged a blanket downstairs and told my parents I'd fallen asleep watching TV. The third night I said I'd had a nightmare. By the fourth, my mom started asking if I was getting sick. I wasn't sick. I was terrified of windows. Eli went full investigation mode. That was his coping mechanism. If something scared him, he researched it until it had categories and patterns, and maybe that made it feel smaller. So by Tuesday, he had a shared folder full of archived posts, old screenshots, town records, and news clippings that were just vague enough to be useless and specific enough to be horrifying. Maya came over after school, and the three of us sat in Eli's basement while he walked us through everything he'd found on his laptop. "This goes back way farther than internet creepypasta," he said. On screen was a local newspaper scan from 1994. Teen missing after reported break-in scare. The boy's name was Aaron Voss, 16 years old, disappeared from his home outside Wexler. Parents reported he'd been telling friends someone was watching him at night and appearing in reflective surfaces. Police suspected he ran away. No body, no suspect, no confirmed sighting after the first 48 hours. Next file. A school disciplinary report from 2008. Mostly blacked out, but the readable part mentioned a student repeatedly drawing a smiling pale intruder in notebooks and bathroom stalls before being transferred after a violent panic incident. Next. Forum screenshots from different years, different states, same details, pale face, dark-rimmed eyes, smile too wide.
Sightings around suburban homes, especially bedrooms, especially second floors. Maya whispered, "This isn't normal urban legend stuff." "It gets worse," Eli said. He opened a folder labeled, Invitation Posts. My stomach dropped before he even explained. Dozens of challenge-style posts from social platforms. Most were old, some were recent. Teenagers daring each other to whisper Jeff's name into a mirror, post the smile symbol, or leave windows uncovered for 3 nights in a row. Tyler. I turned to Eli. How recent? Some from this week. I left immediately and drove home without telling anyone why. Tyler was in the backyard shooting hoops by himself. I didn't even say hello. What did you post? He missed the shot. What? What did you post, Tyler? He looked at me, saw my face, and knew lying wasn't going to work. It was just a repost. Of what? He bounced the ball once. Didn't catch it. A challenge. My vision actually blurred for a second with anger. What challenge? He said it so quietly, I barely heard it. The one where you tag the legend and dare him to show himself. I stared at him. You have got to be kidding me. I didn't think it was real. Then why would you do it? Because everybody online was doing it. I stepped closer. No, Tyler. Everybody online was pretending to do it. That's not the same thing. His eyes filled up, but he kept his jaw tight. You're the one who made the video. That hit harder than I wanted it to. Because he was right. Maybe not about all of it, but about enough. We brought the story into our lives because we thought it was content. Something to use. Something to shape. And now, it felt like something had noticed. That night my mom found me checking every lock in the house twice. She leaned against the hallway wall and said, "Talk to me." I didn't want to. Part of me knew that saying it out loud would make it worse. But silence was making me feel insane. So I gave her a version of the truth. Someone at camp, a possible stalker. Strange texts, something at the window. Her face changed instantly. Not disbelief, fear. The adult kind. The practical kind. Within 20 minutes, my dad was outside with a flashlight, checking the yard, the garage roof, the shed, the side gate. He called Wexler PD and filed a report. 2 officers came by, took notes, and asked if I had enemies. Enemies. Like this was school drama. I showed them the texts. One officer said, could be a prank app, kids do this. I showed them the Muddy Prince photos. The other officer said somebody could have climbed up there. I asked how they got down. He didn't answer. Before leaving, one of them said, keep your doors locked. Don't engage with whoever's messing with you, we'll patrol the area. That sentence sat in my head long after they left. Whoever's messing with you. Because that was the most terrifying possibility of all. Not a monster, a person. A real person choosing this. The next day at school, Maya cornered me by the art wing. You told your parents? Yes. And the cops think it's a prank. She looked almost offended by that. A prank doesn't explain the footage. Tell that to them. She glanced over her shoulder, then lowered her voice. I had a dream about him. I forced a laugh that didn't sound real. Okay. I'm serious, Noah. I stopped smiling. She went on. I dreamed I was in my house, but all the lights were wrong, like everything looked normal except the hall was too dark. And I heard someone breathing in my kitchen. I kept telling myself not to look, but when I finally did, he was crouched on top of the refrigerator, just smiling at me. The way she said it made the back of my neck prickle. That's not even the worst part, she said. What's the worst part? She looked straight at me. When I woke up, my bedroom window was open. I didn't know what to say. Because what comfort exists for that? At lunch, I checked on Tyler by text. No answer. 10 minutes later, he sent a photo. It was of our upstairs hallway at home. Empty. Then another photo.
Same hallway, but now the bathroom mirror at the far end reflected a pale shape standing just behind the corner. Then one last message. I didn't take that second photo. I left school again. This time, when I got home, Tyler was in the kitchen with my mom, acting normal. Too normal. I pulled him aside. What is wrong with you? He looked confused. I showed him the texts. He went white. I never sent those. I checked the number. It was his. Or at least it looked like his. That was the first moment I understood something worse than stalking was happening. It wasn't just watching, it was imitating.
Using voices, using images, using us against each other. That night Eli called close to midnight. I found something else. His voice was shaking. What? There's audio buried in the camp footage. I sat up on the couch, blanket falling to the floor. What kind of audio? I isolated a section where the sound cuts, there's whispering under it. Can you make it out? Silence. Then Eli said, very quietly, it says your name.
Part 4. Nobody believes you until it's too late. There's a point in every horror story where the main character realizes help isn't coming. Not real help. Not the kind that fixes anything. Up until then, you still think there's a right adult to tell, a right door to knock on, a right explanation waiting one layer beneath the fear. But eventually every conversation starts sounding the same: stress, sleep deprivation, online panic, teenagers scaring each other. That week, I heard every version of those words. The school counselor asked if I'd been consuming too much disturbing content. A cop suggested someone might be catfishing our channel for attention. My dad started saying things like, no more horror stuff for a while, as if the problem was genre. Even my mom, who believed I was frightened, still believed it was happening inside the world she understood. She bought brighter motion lights for outside. She made my dad install a camera above the garage. She checked Tyler's phone history and grounded him from social apps. Normal responses. Useless responses. Because the thing following us already knew how to move around normal. Thursday afternoon, Maya didn't show up to school. At first I thought maybe her parents had kept her home. Then Eli texted me during second period. She's not answering. Her mom says she left for school. My pulse spiked so hard I could hear it. We skipped the rest of the day and drove straight to Maya's house. It was one of those newer suburban developments outside town, all beige siding and neat driveways and basketball hoops mounted over garage doors. The kind of neighborhood where nothing bad is supposed to happen because the streets curve politely and everybody has Ring cameras. Maya's mom opened the door already crying. She never got to school. We searched everything: backyard, garage, path behind the neighborhood pond, the small patch of woods behind the cul-de-sac. Nothing. Police came. Questions again. Names, times, last contacts. I wanted to tell them everything. The footage. The texts. The dreams. The smile at the window. But I could see from their faces that the second I did, I'd become the unreliable witness in my own friend's disappearance. So I held back. That was the guilt I carried later, that I held back. Maya was gone for 5 hours where no one knew where she was. Then, just after 7, she walked out of the woods behind the development by herself. No cuts, no dirt, no signs of being dragged or attacked. Just pale, quiet, and barefoot. When paramedics tried to question her, she barely spoke. When her mother hugged her, Maya flinched like she didn't recognize her for a second. I caught her looking at me once over the EMT's shoulder. Her expression was wrong, not empty, not relieved, just distant. Like part of her was still somewhere else. Later that night, Eli got a text from her, "Don't come over. Don't look at the windows." He called immediately. No answer. He called again, voicemail. The next morning, she returned to school. That was almost worse, because she looked almost like herself. Same hoodie, same backpack, same face. But reduced, somehow. Like whatever brightness made her Maya, had been dimmed and pushed farther back inside. At lunch she sat with us and barely touched her food. I said, "Where were you?" She stared at the table. "I don't know, that's not possible." Her eyes moved to mine. "It is. When he doesn't want you to remember." Eli and I exchanged a look. I lowered my voice. "Did you see him?" She nodded once. My mouth went dry. "Where?" "In my house first," she said. "Then in the car reflection when my dad was driving me to school. Then in the school bathroom mirror. Then I heard him behind me when I was walking near the woods." She swallowed. "He never chased me. He just kept showing up closer." Eli asked, "Did he touch you?" Maya's whole body stiffened. "No," she whispered. "He talked." That word landed like ice water. "What did he say?" I asked. She looked at me with exhausted eyes.
He said you were the one he wanted. The rest of the day blurred. By then I was jumping at every reflection, every sound in the hallway made me turn too fast. In math class, I caught myself scanning the dark screen of the mounted projector because part of me thought I'd see him there. When I got home, my dad was installing another camera by the side gate. I asked him what he'd do if the cameras caught nothing. He said, "Then that tells us something, too." "No," I said. "It doesn't." He stopped what he was doing and looked at me in a way fathers do when they realize their kid is standing on the edge of something they can't follow. "What aren't you telling me?" I almost answered. Then the garage light above us flickered once and shut off. We both looked up. It clicked back on, but for a split second, in the dark window of my dad's truck parked in the driveway, I saw a pale face smiling from the back seat. I jerked so hard I nearly fell off the stepladder. My dad grabbed my arm. "What happened?" I stared at the truck. "Nothing there now. Nothing." I whispered, "He's here." That evening the footage from the newly installed camera uploaded to my dad's phone. At 6:42 p.m., it recorded the side yard. Nothing strange. At 6:43, the image distorted with static for exactly 4 seconds. At 6:44, Tyler appeared in frame walking toward the fence. Only, Tyler was inside the house with me at 6:44. We checked, the timestamp was correct. The camera showed my cousin outside when he had never gone outside. And just before the clip ended, the figure wearing Tyler's shape turned toward the camera and smiled. Not Tyler's smile, a stretched, empty imitation. That was the moment my dad stopped dismissing things. He didn't say it out loud, but I saw it. Adults don't need monsters to believe fear, they just need proof that reality isn't behaving the way it should. He locked every door, closed every blind, told my mom nobody was going anywhere that night. And upstairs,
In the mirror across from the hallway bathroom, someone wrote 3 words in steam that hadn't been there a second earlier.
"Let me in."
Part 5. The house with no safe room.
Storms always make American houses feel more fragile. That night, the wind came in hard off the trees behind our neighborhood, rattling gutters and bending branches against windows. Rain hit the siding in waves, the kind of weather that erases outside sound until your whole world becomes the rooms around you and whatever might already be inside them. My parents tried to keep things calm. My mom made coffee no one wanted. My dad checked the locks every 10 minutes with the forced focus of a man trying to solve fear like a maintenance problem. Tyler sat on the couch hugging a pillow, pretending he wasn't scared because I was in the room. Eli came over with 2 flashlights, a charger pack, and the kind of face people get when they finally realized something is bigger than their logic. Maya wasn't answering her phone. That bothered me more than I admitted. At around 9:30, the power flickered once. Then, twice. Then, held. My dad said the utility lines were probably getting hit by the weather. Eli muttered, "Of course they are." We decided to stay downstairs together. 1 room, fewer windows. Easy access to the front and back doors. The kind of plan that sounds solid when you still believe the threat moves like a person. At 10:02, my mom's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then she answered. Her face drained of color immediately. "What?" she whispered. My dad stood up. "Who is it?" She didn't answer him. She just listened, hand trembling, then slowly lowered the phone from her ear. "What happened?" he asked. My mom looked at me. "It was your voice." Every hair on my arms lifted. "What?" "It sounded exactly like you," she said. It said, "Mom, don't come upstairs." No one moved. Tyler started crying quietly and tried to hide it. Eli whispered, "He's inside." My dad grabbed the fireplace poker and told everyone to stay put. I said, "Don't go alone." He ignored me and headed toward the stairs. I followed anyway. Upstairs,
The whole hallway looked darker than it should have, like the storm outside had pressed shadows into the walls.
the bathroom door was half open. My bedroom door was closed. Tyler's temporary room at the end of the hall stood open with the lights off. "Hello," my dad called, voice too loud. No answer. He checked my room first. Empty. Closet empty. Window locked. Then the bathroom. Empty. Then Tyler's room, also empty, but on the inside wall, above the bed, someone had written a smiley face in black marker. Not a normal smiley face, a stretched grin with hollow eyes. My dad backed out slowly. We both heard it then. A laugh. Soft, from downstairs. We ran. The living room was empty. My mom and Tyler were gone. So was Eli. The front door stood open against the storm. Rain blew across the entryway floor. I shouted their names into the dark and got no answer back but thunder. My dad bolted outside. I followed to the porch. The yard lights were still on, bright against the rain. The driveway gleamed. Trees thrashed behind the fence. Then I saw movement near the detached garage. A person standing under the security light. My mom. She wasn't moving, just standing there facing the garage door. Mom. I started toward her, but my dad grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. That's not your mother, he said. He was right. Even from a distance, something about her posture was wrong. Too still, too straight, arms hanging a little too loose. The figure slowly turned its head toward us. And when the light hit the face, it was not my mother. White skin, dark, sunken eyes, black hair wet from rain. And that smile, that impossible smile. Tyler screamed from somewhere inside the garage. My dad let go of me and ran forward. The figure moved faster than it had any right to. Not a lunge, not a sprint, just a blur crossing from light into dark. Then it was gone. We yanked open the side garage door. Inside, Tyler and my mom huddled near the workbench, L in front of them, gripping a baseball bat like he had no idea what to do with it. Where did he go? I shouted. Nobody answered. Because the answer was worse than any of us wanted. We didn't know if he'd ever been outside at all. We dragged everyone back into the house and slammed every lock. This time, nobody pretended logic was enough. My dad found the shotgun case in the closet. My mom told him no, then yes, then broke down crying halfway through the sentence. Eli whispered to me, "The cameras." We checked the live feed on my dad's phone. Every screen showed static except the upstairs hall cam. That one showed a figure standing in front of my bedroom door, staring directly into the lens and smiling. Then the feed cut. What happened next felt stretched, unreal, like time turning thick. The lights went out completely. Not a flicker. Gone. The whole house dropped into darkness and storm sound. Tyler started hyperventilating. My mom held him close. My dad chambered around with shaking hands. And somewhere above us, slow footsteps crossed the second floor. 1, 2, 3. Stopping right over the living room. Then came a sound I will never forget. A voice from the stairs. My voice. Calm. Almost amused. "Don't look up." Nobody breathed. Eli whispered. "Noah." I already knew. Something was standing on the staircase in the dark. Just above where the flash from lightning could reach. I raised my flashlight. My dad hissed, "Don't." Too late. The beam hit the staircase. For half a second, we all saw him. White face, wet black hair stuck to the sides. Darkened eyes like bruises or holes. Smile carved too wide across a human face that looked like it had forgotten how to be human. Then he moved. The flashlight flew out of my hand. My dad fired once into the dark, the shot deafening inside the house. The figure vanished again. Not fell. Not stumbled. Vanished. After that, the house turned into panic. Doors slamming. Windows banging from storm pressure. Tyler crying. My mother praying under her breath, though we hadn't been to church in years. And through all of it, glimpses. A pale face at the kitchen doorway, a smile in the black TV screen, a reflection behind Eli that disappeared when he turned. It was everywhere and nowhere. Not attacking, breaking us down, making the house feel already claimed. Then Maya called. I answered so fast I almost dropped the phone. "Noah." Her voice was thin and shaking. "Maya, where are you?" "At home, I think, I don't know." "What?" I can hear him breathing in the walls. My skin went cold. "Maya, listen to me, stay on the phone. Lock yourself in a room." There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "Noah, what?" "He says if you want Tyler back, you have to come upstairs alone." I turned slowly toward the dark staircase. Tyler was right beside my mother, safe. Which meant only one thing, he was still playing with us, using whoever he wanted, saying whatever would move us. I should have stayed downstairs. I should have never gone up, but fear doesn't make you rational. It makes you obedient to the worst possibility. And something in me knew the truth already. This had always been headed toward one room. Mine, so I took the flashlight from the floor, tightened my grip until my hand hurt, and started climbing.
Part 6. If you see him smile, it's already too late. Each step up the staircase felt wrong, not just dangerous. Familiar, like I'd made that climb before in a dream I couldn't quite remember. The storm flashed through the window over the landing, filling the hall with hard white light for a second at a time. Every flash turned the dark into still frames. Bathroom door, family photos, my open bedroom. Shadow at the far end, nothing there. Shadow again. Behind me, I could hear my father saying my name, my mother telling me to come back. Eli starting up the stairs and my dad stopping him. But their voices already sounded far away. I reached my doorway and aimed the flashlight inside. My room looked almost untouched. Desk, posters, laundry chair, window, computer. The ordinary world still sitting there like it had no idea what had entered it. Then the beam slid to the wall above my bed. Written there in black, huge and uneven. You invited me when you looked back. My chest tightened. Looked back. At camp. At the trees. At the video. At the window. Attention. Recognition. That was the invitation. Not words. Not rituals. Witness. I heard breathing behind me and spun. Nothing in the doorway. Then a whisper from inside my closet. Still awake? The voice was soft, male, almost playful. Nothing supernatural about it, which made it worse. I stepped back until the edge of my bed hit behind my knees. The closet door opened by itself 2 inches. Then 4. Then all the way. He was standing inside. Not tall in some impossible way. Not floating. Not cinematic. Just there. Human enough to ruin you. Thin frame in dark clothes. Pale face unnaturally smooth in places and deeply shadowed in others. Eyes sunk in black. Smile so wide it made the rest of the face look built around it instead of the other way around. He tilted his head, studying me like he'd been waiting a long time for the room to finally empty down to just us. "Do you know what people get wrong?" he asked. I couldn't speak.
His grin widened a fraction. "They think I come for the weak ones." He stepped out of the closet, slow, barely a sound. "They think I want blood, or chaos. Or whatever story sounds best when the video starts." My whole body screamed at me to run, but where? He was between me and the only part of the room that still felt real. "What do you want?" I forced out. He looked genuinely pleased that I asked. "A witness," he said. Lightning flashed. For one instant the room brightened, and what I saw then is the image that stayed with me most, not some monster lunging, not a cinematic attack, but the certainty in his expression. Like this was routine. Like he'd had this conversation before with countless other fightin' kids in ordinary American bedrooms. "You all do the same thing," he said. "You say the name. You share the face. You tell the story like it belongs to you." He took another step closer. "But stories belong to whoever survives them." Something moved in the hallway behind him. Tyler, I saw him reflected in the mirror on my dresser, standing frozen in the doorway. Jeff noticed too. Without looking back, he said, "I'd leave if I were you." Tyler didn't move. Then, in a burst of courage that still shocks me when I think about it, he grabbed the metal baseball trophy off my shelf and hurled it. It smashed into the mirror. Glass exploded across the room. Jeff flinched, not in pain, but in irritation. And suddenly the spell broke. I lunged. Not at him. Past him, I grabbed Tyler, shoved him into the hall, and yelled for everyone to get downstairs and out of the house. The next seconds were noise and chaos. My father charging up the stairs, my mother pulling Tyler back. Eli appearing with the bat, the flashlight beam jerking across walls. When it hit my bedroom again, Jeff was gone, the closet empty, the broken mirror reflecting only us. But on the floor near the window lay my laptop open, screen glowing. A video file was playing. Auto-recorded from my webcam, timestamped that night. The screen showed me asleep in my room several nights earlier, before I started sleeping downstairs. For 3 hours, nothing happened. Then at 3:12 a.m., my bedroom door slowly opened. Jeff walked in. He stood over my bed for almost 20 minutes without moving, just watching me sleep. Nobody spoke while the footage played. At 3:34, the version of me in bed shifted slightly, still asleep. And Jeff leaned down near my ear. Though the webcam had no audio, I knew exactly what he'd said. Because I'd heard it in dreams every night since. At 3:35, he looked directly into the camera and smiled. The file ended. My dad grabbed the laptop like it had burned him. "Everybody out," he said. We left through the front door in the rain and didn't stop until we were all inside Eli's car. My parents wanted police. Eli wanted Miles. I wanted Tyler breathing next to me, where I could hear him. We drove to Columbus and spent the rest of the night in a hotel off the interstate, with all the lights on and chairs shoved under the door handles, like that could mean anything. By morning, Wexler PD searched the house. They found no intruder. No prints inside. No signs of forced entry. No explanation for the video file. The upstairs camera footage from the worst part of the night had corrupted beyond recovery. The shotgun blast had hit drywall in the upstairs hall, nothing else. To the police, it became another non-case with scared witnesses and messy evidence. To us, it was the end of one life and the beginning of another. We moved 3 weeks later. Different town, different county, different school. My parents called it a fresh start. Tyler stopped talking about urban legends completely. Maya transferred the next semester and never fully became herself again, though she texted me once, months later, to ask if I still kept mirrors covered at night. Eli deleted the channel. Every video. Every archive. Everything except one file he copied to a drive and mailed to me the summer after graduation. No note. Just the drive. I didn't open it for almost a year. When I finally did, there was only one clip inside. A restored version of our camp footage, clearer than before, brighter. In the final seconds, after we run toward the trees and the camera shakes back toward the mess hall, there's a moment where the lens catches the cabin window like a mirror. And inside that reflection, standing behind all of us before any of this truly started, is a second figure. Not Jeff. Me. Facing the camera, smiling the same smile. I shut the laptop so hard I cracked the hinge. I wish I could tell you I know what it means. I don't. Maybe the story was always trying to wear me, maybe once you've been watched long enough, part of you starts watching back. Or maybe that's the final trick making sure survivors never know whether they escaped or carried something out with them. I'm older now. Older than I thought I'd get to be back then. I don't run horror channels. I don't say the name out loud unless I have to. I don't sleep near uncovered windows. And every now and then, usually when I'm in a hotel or some new apartment where the glass catches the room at the wrong angle, I make the mistake of looking twice at my own reflection. Because, sometimes, just sometimes, there's a delay. Not a long one, just enough to notice. Just enough to make my blood go cold. My reflection keeps smiling a second after I stop. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Legends like Jeff the Killer don't survive because they're seen. They survive because once you see them, part of you starts helping them get seen by someone else. So if you hear a tapping sound outside your bedroom window tonight, don't be brave. Don't go looking. And whatever you do, if you see him smiling at you from the dark, do not smile back.